the Mojave Desert. Silent, endless, merciless. But on this hauntingly still morning, fate stirred in the unlikeliest of heroes. Two stray dogs, forgotten by the world, who stumbled upon something no living soul should ever witness. One was tall, lean, with a torn ear and a look that said he'd fought for every meal. The other small, sandy-colored, eyes sharp, cautious but curious. They wandered across cracked earth, noses twitching. Suddenly, a sound, a whimper, barely there, just enough to stop them in their tracks. The wind carried more than just heat that morning. It carried a cry for help. They found them, tied to a cactus. An elderly woman and a young boy, barely conscious. Thorns pierced their skin. Their lips were cracked, eyes sunken, clothes torn and soaked in sweat. The woman gasped, "Help." No one else was there. No roads, no people, no help, except for them. Two stray dogs who could have walked away, but didn't. The bigger dog stepped forward. Let's call him Rex. He sniffed the thick ropes, then began to chew. Relentless, focused. The smaller one, Daisy, pulled at the knots with her teeth, whining, pacing, digging at the sand like she could free them faster. Minutes passed, then hours. But finally, the rope gave way. The boy, Mason, pulled himself free and rushed to his grandmother. She collapsed into his arms with a painful cry. Her name was Evelyn. The boy, Mason. They had come to California to visit Evelyn's son, Mason's father. He had invited them on a drive through the desert, said he wanted to show them a lookout point. The last thing Evelyn remembered was sipping a drink he handed her. Then, darkness. Mason, trembling. "Grandma, did Dad do this?" Evelyn's heart cracked. She didn't answer. She couldn't, but her silence spoke volumes. With no water, no phone, no shelter, they began to walk. Rex led the way. Daisy stayed close to Mason, her eyes scanning the horizon. Every step was agony, but giving up was never an option. Hours later, a sound. An engine. Hope? No. A black SUV. Speeding toward them. Evelyn froze. It was him, her son. And he wasn't alone. They ducked behind rocks. The dogs positioned themselves protectively around Mason. A voice shouted. They couldn't have gone far. When the men moved past, Evelyn whispered, "Run." They ran, but the SUV came back, cutting them off near a dry ravine. Evelyn stood between the men and Mason. Her son stepped out, cold, angry, a gun in his hand. He sneered, "Why couldn't you just sign the papers? Evelyn, you left us to die." He raised the gun, but before he could fire, Rex lunged. Teeth sank into flesh. The gun went off, wild, into the air. Daisy tackled the second man's leg. Mason screamed. Evelyn grabbed a branch and struck with all her strength. Dust, blood, barking, yelling. Then a second shot. Missed, but far in the distance. Sirens. Someone had heard. The attackers panicked. One fled. Rex kept the other, Evelyn's son, pinned until rangers arrived. When it was over, Evelyn fell to her knees, shaking. Mason clung to her, crying. But they were alive, thanks to two strays, who had nothing to gain and everything to give. At the station, Evelyn finally spoke. Years of manipulation, threats, pressure to sign over her family home. She had always resisted. And for that, her own son had left her and Mason to die. But something else came from that nightmare. Rex and Daisy, no longer strays, no longer alone. They were adopted by Evelyn and Mason. And together, they healed. In a world where family can betray. Sometimes, it's the broken who protect the broken. Sometimes, heroes have fur and four legs. Rex and Daisy didn't just save two lives. They started a new family, built not by blood, but by loyalty, courage, and love. Outro. Soft music fades in. Rescue montage video of Rex and Daisy running. Evelyn smiling, Mason laugh. Share this story if you believe in second chances. If you believe every stray deserves a name and a home. Because sometimes angels come with paws.